What's up, people? It's a great day, and I'm having a great time. I am so excited for having my next guest on the show. She is an author. You guys know I love authors. I love authors. Yes. So we have author Carlotta on the show today, and she's going to talk about how she got into the writing and what she did, and then she's got this really cool looking book that I'm gonna leave it there because I'm not the expert, but she is. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for
Oh, thank
having me.
you. Anytime, anytime. So tell us about yourself.
I am a mother and grandmother. I am a university professor, and I am a writer. As also, I am an educator, have been for more than 30 years. So that
Goodness.
is me. And I'm a
Honest.
widow right now. I am widowed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that.
That's okay.
Wow. Okay, but you've had a great career. Educators, man, I'm telling you, without you guys, we would be all, I mean, okay, with the exception of probably a few other people, but we would all be dumb. We would all
Education
be
is
dumb.
important.
Yeah,
Education is important. I'm an
definitely.
advocate for education, a strong advocate.
That's right. That's right. And I love educators. As a matter of fact, I homeschooled my child and I had lots and lots of help from educators. And so, wow, what would we do? Thank you so much for your service. But okay, so being an educator and going into writing, how did that begin for you?
When I was 5, I wanted to write. So my mother, who was still alive at the time, told me to write if that's what you want to do. But it took me a long journey to get there with children, businesses, my husband. So I finally got back to Carlotta and my desire to write. So I got into it by a vivid imagination of what you want a story to be like, or a life that you imagine that is true. And I love the 1900s, the turn of the century, that I know it wasn't the age of chivalry, but it was a chivalry-like age then, where people thought of love different. So I went all the way to London and Paris to get the feel of the environment on Queen Mary 2. I took a cruise.
I love that.
So I watched the lovers in Paris. I watched the environment. I got the feel of what it would be like in Tuscany Valley. In fact, we have naturally vineyards here in America. I live in Alabama, so there's one in Florida near me. So you go and you get the feel of the environment. So I got into writing just by doing the things that I love best and talking about the things that you know about. And we all know about love and, you know, the desire to have that ideal type love in your life. So that's how I got into writing. Plus, I always thought I had to have the tools in order to do that. So I went back to University of South Alabama here in Mobile, and I got my Master's of Art in Communication. I had an MBA from William Carey University in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. So I decided to get another master so I could be qualified as a communicator.
Wow. Wow. I mean, okay, so you really went all the way out, but I mean, this was something you really wanted to do. I mean, when you think about your life without writing, what would that look like?
I would feel like a bird in a cage, unable to express those things that I feel inside that you want to get out, the things that you know that you can write and things that you can do. So I would feel that I would cheated myself, actually, is what I would. And my husband, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
My husband always told me I would cheat myself if I did not write. So I started writing about 15 years ago.
That is beautiful. It is gorgeous to have the support. You know, you can't be yourself if you're not yourself. Does that make any sense?
Very much so.
Wow. What kind of advice do you give to people who are just putting their dreams on the back burner or just ignoring it altogether?
I tell them that if you have that talent, if you have that desire, write it. If you want to write, just start writing and you don't have to have any specific way to do it. You write all your thoughts down and then you organize it. But don't let that skill and ability or the general public be cheated of that skill and ability. You never know who you might affect when you're writing. You never know who you might encourage when you're writing. So that's what I tell them.
That is so important. You know, for people who couldn't afford or people who didn't get the education, they may feel like as if they don't have the vocabulary, they don't have the intelligence to write. What do you say to them?
It does not take a college degree to have an education. In the fact, if you want to write, then you go and learn about the subject that you're writing. I always tell them to write about things you know about. But there's more than one way to get an education. You can educate yourself about a lot of things in life. So don't let the fact that you don't have a degree stop you. Only you can stop you.
I love it. Absolutely love it. You know, coming from an educator, it's important that they hear that. Because, you know, coming from me, I'm not an educator. Oh, coming from Yaya, who cares? But coming from Carlotta, from Carlotta, I'm sorry, Carlotta, right? Carlotta. I can't see that. I need glasses. Coming from Carlotta, it means more than anything in the world. Anything in the world coming from you. It comes with your background. It comes with your education and your profession and all the years that you've been in there. To tell someone just because they didn't have the education that they can still do it. Carlotta, that's amazing. So you said you always loved a certain period in time. So you went over to Paris, which I love, and you went to London, which I absolutely love. And you also live in Alabama. You said that there's a place in Florida as well.
Yes, there's vineyards in Florida. Yes, it's not very far, maybe 3 hours from where I am. It is a vineyard in Florida. Yes.
Sweetness, because I have to go. I live in Florida.
Yes, it's this way coming toward Mobile.
The Panhandle.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I figured that it would be like a 6 or 7 hour drive for me, but that's okay.
Well, it's on 20, I think.
I'm sorry.
I think it's Highway 20, 19 or 20. It's kind of back coming from Florida, the back way.
That is sweet. That is great. Man, I tell you, so let's go into your books because the period that you love is the period I love it too. The big dresses and the dances and it was just like, oh, don't do that. You can put me in the front of a movie and I'm gone for like hours when it comes to that. Right. I love it. Absolutely love it. So you wrote about that. Tell us about your book.
Simone. Simone is a trilogy. It's not just one book. It's 3. Simone is based on a diary that a young girl started when she was 14 years old in that society in Italy at that time, at the turn of the century, when she was born. Women did not have the rights that they have now, though limited sometime, I think. In that culture, mother and father chose the husbands for their daughters or the wives for their sons. So I based it on the history in Italy at that time and what I knew from studying history about Tuscany. I read a lot about Tuscany Valley. So I got that feel and I took myself there mentally and emotionally. How would a woman feel, 14-year-old girl, that she had all of these drives and aspirations and all of the what we call hormones jumping around in her body that she didn't know what to do with. And she couldn't talk to her mother. Those things were just not done in that day and time. You did not acknowledge things like that. So she wrote it in a diary. Her diary became her best friend. She wrote all her feelings, her aspirations, her desires. And then she met a friend. At that time, he became a friend, Vincenzo. And they were simpatico in certain things because he had lost his twin sister to scarlet fever at that time. He was in a dark place and she felt like she was in a dark place. So they kind of meshed together and helped each other. And over time, and she also wrote this in her diary, Over time, they became lovers. She was at that time 14, 15, 16. He was 17 when they met. And they just become friends, and then they became lovers. Not that many times. I think 1 or 2 times they were together, intimately. But then her father had promised she would marry a man named Roberto Bandisi. And the marriage took place, but yet still she thought she still loved Vincenzo, but she had to marry Roberto. She didn't have a choice. She wrote all of this in her diary. And as the period of time went by, after she married Roberto, she found that she was falling slowly in love with her husband. It's a beautiful thing, I thought, to fall in love with your husband after you get married. Most women fall in their love before they get married, but she fell in love with Roberto. But her diary is the key to this entire trilogy, which spanned more than 100 years, from the 1890s through 1979.
Wow.
It took up more than 100 years.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's the kind of stuff I like. I love that. That's just beautiful.
Well,
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to see the movie. I'm sorry.
Well, I thought about writers like Charlotte Bronte and Jane Austen, and I really compared it to Pride and Prejudice.
Oh,
Two different types of societies there. You have the rich and the poor, you have the middle class and the super rich. So it's kind of like Pride and Prejudice, because her father was a farmer and his father was a farmer, but Vincenzo was a wine king, and they had the prevalence in that society at that time. So all of this came about, and my imagination just took me hundreds of years back and then hundreds of years forward, where I could see a life. I can actually see Simone on the front of the book. That's the picture that I see her as, looking beautiful Italian woman with long black flowing hair that any man would desire to be in his life. And Roberto, the most handsome man in the world. Vincenzo is not an ugly man, but he is not as sexy and handsome as Roberto is. And those two together, to me, was, like I said, simpatico. They matched together, but not Vincenzo so much, because he had a lot of issues in his life. And when you have issues in your life, then you bring those issues with the person that you're with, and it just complicates more. And she already had the issue because she had a secret that she tried to keep from her husband. And she did for 24 years. But then it caused a lot of doubt in his mind. It caused a lot of problems with him, but he loved her with a passion that is almost undescribable.
I love it. Oh, I love those things. Oh my gosh, I can see the movie. I can see the movie. Yeah. Are you gonna do a movie?
Well, I hope so. It could be a trilogy. It could be a movie, an ongoing saga.
I'm waiting for it. Yes, I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. It sounds romantic and beautiful and well thought. I mean, it's just wonderful, Carlotta. Thank you so much.
I had a very romantic husband.
Something that all of us dream about.
Well, romance is, to me, is not kissing and hugging and all those things. Romance, and I tell a lot of young women, and when people ask me what I view as romance, romance is not kissing and hugging. That's part of the physical aspect of it. But romance is that look or that touch or that unexpected rose or that unexpected compliment or someone holding your hand. My husband used to hold my hand a lot. He was very romantic. He used to take me on a date. We just go on a date just because. So that's romance. It's a lot of things, but it's not just kissing and hugging. Those are byproducts of the romance. Romance is an all-day thing, sometimes culminating in the kissing and the hug. He used to
Yeah.
visit me at work sometime just to surprise me, to take me to lunch. We go buy a banana split and share it. He loved banana splits. So we did a lot of things. He was very romantic. He was a lot older than me. So he felt like all the time that he married a baby. Is what he said.
Oh, that's too cute. Well, I'm glad you had that time together.
Yes. Well, unless you know, and a lot of people ask me that, unless you know how romance feel and how passion and love you are with someone, then you can't write things that I wrote with Simone. Because if you don't know what passion is, identified when you're feeling it, or when you have passion in your life, then passion can be a lot of things. You can have passion for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
My husband was a passionate man overall, so there was a lot of passion in his life, as well as passion for love, true love.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that we had true love.
Awesome. Well, I'm just very happy that you did have that and that you came through and wrote that book. My goodness, where can people find your book? And I want to go ahead and say Simone, Tuscany, The Saga Begins, book one. You said that this is a trilogy, so there are other books already out, or are you doing those now?
No, the books are already out. The second one is Simone, The Saga Began and Continues. It's called Carmelita, and that was the daughter. And then the last book is Simone, The Saga Began, Continues, and Ended in Love's Triumphs, the diary. That is where you
Yes.
find that 15-page diary there. She
Right.
wrote the diary over a period of almost 100 years as well, from beginning back to where she started at 14 years old, going forward. And all of her feelings are there. So the book can be found on my website, Carlotta Maria Shinn Russell. It can be found on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and other sites out there.
Awesome. Well, we're going to have the link in the description box below so that you guys will be able to grab that. It'll be easy for you guys to go and see those 3 books because I've already seen them. Ha ha. And I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Carlotta, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you. Anytime. And thank you guys. Don't forget to dare to be different. And like Carlotta said, go after your dreams, man. Don't wait. Just do it. No matter what, just go. All right. And until next time, guys. Bye.